sacred landscape around Glastonbury. The Glastonbury Zodiac is a modern nickname. The Temple of the Stars. It's the entire night sky of the Northern Hemisphere. Using that star map to explain different mystery traditions of the ancient world, the temple of the British secret tradition, latter years of the Victorian age. They had their own 2012. They were wrapped up in the beginnings of the Age of Michael, which lasts for over 300 years. We've discovered the Michael line and the Michael triangle and other significant lines to do with Michael and ley lines and sacred hilltops. The Age of Michael was actually invented in 1508 by Johann Trithemius. He was a Benedictine abbot, and he came up with this theory of human history having different angelic eras, and these were repeated 3 times since the beginning of time. It's the end of the Age of Gabriel and the beginning of the Age of Michael. This Age of Michael is meant to be the final age. So Michael is meant to be governing the sun, and the previous age, the Age of Gabriel, is that of the moon. Things are hidden and secret, so you have secret societies like Freemasonry. Everything's meant to be revealed. All the cards are meant to be put onto the table. Trouble is, the whole social network was men sworn to secrecy, so they can't do these revealings. Things change, and all these mystical women step forwards, and the women aren't sworn to the same secrecy, so they can do the revealings. The Age of Michael was set off in London with the erection of Cleopatra's Needle in 1878. Prince Albert was there in full Masonic regalia along with all the Freemasons of London. It was a completely open Masonic ceremony. 1880s, Madame Blavatsky sets up the Theosophical Society, beginning of Age of Michael. Blavatsky's writings are the first reference to landscape zodiacs. It comes out of Theosophy. She says that ancient priests left Egypt and travelled around the world building zodiacs. Out of Theosophy came co-Freemasonry. Around about 1906, Annie Besant, she was the Grand Master of co-Freemasonry. This is her in a 33-degree regalia of ancient and accepted Scottish rite. Same period of time, 1880s, was the beginning of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, set up by a group called Soc Ros, or the Society of Rosicrucians in England. And they were all Master Freemasons. And they set up a magical order that women and non-Freemasons can get involved and do something that's a bit more freer than Freemasonry, exploring magic and the occult, but its origins are Master Masons in the Soc Ros movement. The women of the Golden Dawn all went on to do very profound things, and in the modern New Age that we have today, Wicca, Druidism, still Theosophy. Most of the women went to the Slade School of Art in London, Bloomsbury. Dion Fortune, local writer, member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, 1920s and 30s, so she wasn't there at the first wave, but she's the inheritor of it, in this triangle of Michael places, and it comes from Dion Fortune's writings. The main founder of Chalice Well, Wesley Tudor Pole, in the 1950s wrote this booklet, Michael, Prince of Heaven, and inside it describes the Michael line. Catherine Maltwood, her first book, published in 1935, hidden in this book are many other references to things that she's spilling the beans over. That was 1935, and in 1936, a year later, Dion Fortune wrote this book, The Goatfoot God. It's a novel, it's fiction, and she's put a whole load of landscape geometry. It focuses on Avebury, but it also incorporates other places. Catherine's first book, in the introduction, she's quoting something about the Holy Grail, secret things of the sacrament, or none to tell openly. Read between the lines, there's more here than what I'm talking about. She's talking about star law, and she's talking about King Arthur, and then she says, Alfred's fort at Athelney and Camelot Castle at South Cadbury are both 11 miles from the Isle of Avalon. Then she says nothing else about it. She goes on to talk about other things. It's just a throwaway statement that didn't even relate to what she was previously talking about. Alfred's Fort we now call Borough Mump. Camelot Castle is South Cadbury Castle. The Isle of Avalon, she's talking about the Tor. That was 1935. If you put the compass point in the Tor, take the other end of the compass to the dog's nose at Borough Mump and draw a circle, it comes to another church called Stoke St. Michael. St. Michael Church, St. Michael Church, St. Michael Church. But once you've got 3 in the line, you can continue it down to St. Michael's Mount in Cornwall. We're now very aware of this line, but this whole line from St. Michael's Mount right across the land comes from Catherine Maltwood's throwaway triangle in the introduction to her first book. It's not a random thing. She knew what she was doing. John Michel himself, in the introduction to Paul Broadhurst's Sun and the Serpent, says the axis of the mump is directed towards the Tor, where the line is continued by the old pilgrim path to St. Michael's Tower. St. Michael's Tower crowns Glastonbury Tor, and many churches in the neighbourhood have the same dedication, i.e. pay attention to the Michael churches. Probably like this one, they stood on the site of pre-Christian fire altars, so she's thinking of fire beacons on hilltops. It must have been an inspiring sight when Glastonbury Tor stood in the midst of hundreds of beacon fires, tossing their flames up to the night sky from the surrounding hills, a survival of the Beltane fires of May Day. The only significance Glastonbury Tor has with May Day is the Michael line. It points to sunrise at May Day. She knows it's related to Beltane and May Day, which means she must know which direction the line is aiming. She's a bit cryptic too, so here she's talking about Burrow Mump, the dog's nose. And she says, on a hot May day, golden glossy kingcups bloom on his sleeping eye, which look west down the nave of St. Michael's Chapel. Then a bit further on in the same paragraph, she refers to it as this St. Michael's Mount. So she's fully aware of St. Michael's Mount, the Michael nave on Burrow Mump, and she's saying on a hot May day, it's capital M, capital D. It's not any day in May, it's May Day. John Michel of Catherine says, Mrs. Maltwood received the message transmitted through time that the peculiar quality of a certain place is perceptible to men of all ages, that nothing is lost. The pattern grows.